All right, today we're going to dive deep into the really powerful connection between one of the world's most famous diets and, well, the trillions of tiny critters living inside you. This is all about your gut on the Mediterranean diet.
We're always on the hunt for that next big thing in wellness, right? That magic pill, that perfect workout routine. But what if the answer isn't new at all? What if the real secret to health wasn't something you find in a pharmacy,
but has been sitting right there on a dinner plate for literally centuries just waiting for us to pay attention?
So let's explore the science behind this whole thing. We're going to see exactly how the food on your plate sends a direct message to those trillions of microbes that call your body home. Okay, first things first, we've got to be super clear about what we're actually talking about here. Because, the word Mediterranean gets thrown around a lot, so let's get specific. So, when I say Mediterranean, what pops into your head? Probably a huge bowl of pasta, right? Or maybe a beautiful vacation in Greece. And yeah, that's part of it. But there's a really important distinction we need to make right now. Okay, so check this out. There's a huge difference between the Mediterranean cuisine and the Mediterranean diet. The cuisine, that's the whole shebang. It's this massive, amazing cultural tradition that stretches all the way from Spain to the Levant. But the diet, the one scientists are obsessed with, that's way more specific. It's a modern health plan that's really inspired by what folks in Greece and southern Italy were eating back in the 1960s. And why the 60s? Because back then, they had incredibly low rates of chronic disease. But even with all that diversity, food historians found something that kind of ties it all together. They call it the Mediterranean Trinity. It's these three core ingredients that you'll find pretty much everywhere. You've got the olive, which gives us that liquid gold, olive oil. You've got wheat for all the amazing bread and pasta. And of course, the grape from wine. I mean, this is really the bedrock of the whole culinary tradition. All right, so we've talked about the food on the plate. Now let's shift gears and go inside your body. We're talking about your own personal inner ecosystem. And that ecosystem has a name, the gut microbiome. It's basically this huge community of trillions of bacteria and other microorganisms just hanging out in your digestive tract. And I absolutely love this analogy of thinking of it like a garden, right? Because just like a garden, what you put into it, well, that directly affects what grows. The food you eat is literally the soil and the fertilizer for this incredible inner world. And just to give you an idea of the scale we're talking about, get ready for this number. You are home to roughly 38 trillion bacterial cells. That's about the same number as your own human cells. So you're not just you. You're basically a walking, talking ecosystem. And keeping that ecosystem happy, well, that's absolutely crucial for your overall health. So, okay, we've got the diet over here and the microbiome over here. How do we actually connect the two? Well, that's where the science comes in. Let's get into it. There's always been this romance around the Mediterranean. The writer Elizabeth David captured it perfectly back in 1950. She called it those blessed lands of sun and sea and olive trees. It just paints this picture of health and vitality, doesn't it? And yeah, it's a beautiful image for sure, but romance only gets us so far. We want data, right? So what does the hard science actually say about how all this food affects that inner world we were talking about? Well, a really fascinating study decided to find out. So here's the breakdown of the study. Researchers in Madrid got together 60 healthy adult volunteers. They then analyzed their gut bacteria using stool samples, which, by the way, gives you an amazing snapshot of that inner garden. And then, and this is the cool part, they correlated all that microbial data with how closely each person was sticking to the Mediterranean diet. It's a perfect, direct line from what's on the plate to what's happening with the microbes. Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting. Let's start decoding what they actually found about the diet's impact.
Okay, the first major finding was crystal clear. The more fiber people ate, from all those plant-based foods, the greater the diversity of their gut microbiome. And let me tell you, diversity is like the holy grail of gut health. Why? Because a diverse gut is a resilient gut. Think of it like a rainforest, teeming with life, able to handle threats, versus, say, a single cornfield that can be wiped out by one little pest. Diversity is strength.
But then, on the flip side, they found the complete opposite when it came to fat. A higher total fat intake was directly linked to lower microbial diversity. This just shows you that incredible push and pull effect of our food choices, right? More plants and fibers seem to build up that inner ecosystem, while a high total fat intake seems to kind of tear it down. Okay, now let's zoom in and get even more specific. The study actually started matching specific foods to specific kinds of bacteria. So for example, both olive oil and fiber seem to help grow this one microbe, I'm going to try to say this, Phascolarctobacterium. Just think of it as a good guy. It produces these amazing compounds called short-chain fatty acids, which are like super fuel for your gut lining. But then you have something like red meat, which was more of a mixed bag. It was linked to some anti-inflammatory bacteria, but also to some pro-inflammatory ones, like Clostridium. It really shows it's not just about good versus bad. It's all about the overall balance of that inner community.
And get this might be the coolest part. It wasn't just about which bacteria were there, but what they were actually doing. The researchers found that people who stuck closer to the diet had more bacteria with the right tools, these things called metabolic pathways, to break down potentially toxic compounds. So basically, a better diet gives your microbiome better detoxifying superpowers. How amazing is that?
So after all that science, what does this actually mean for you? Let's boil it all down into some practical takeaways. This is your gut on a med diet.
All right, based on everything we've seen, we can pull out 3 pretty simple principles. Number 1, prioritize fiber. Seriously, it is the number 1 superfood for your microbes. Number 2, choose your fats wisely. It's not about going no fat, but it is about the type of fat and the total amount. The science is pointing towards things like olive oil. And number 3, just be mindful of red meat. The data suggests that a higher intake was linked to a less balanced, less even microbiome. So if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. Every single meal is a message. Your plate is sending a direct signal to those trillions of microbes inside of you, telling them which ones should grow and thrive and which ones should fade away. So the only question left is, what are you going to tell them today?